Shall we start? Only only 5 minutes late. Okay. Yeah, do that so that people shut up, basically.
All right, everybody. I'd like to introduce to you Nejc Zupan, who's, I guess he started at Plone conferences in 2011. I remember when he showed up, he was looking pretty haggard and he was looking very, I guess, happy to join the community. But since then, he's become a leader in the Plone community, and now he's doing a lot of pyramid work, but he's also contributing so much back to Plone. It's amazing to have him back and to keep having him here. So with that,
Thanks.
Nejc.
Way before 2011. By the way, good pronunciation of my name. So yeah, I'm Nate. I'm from Intel. I've been a Python dev for over a decade, and I've been a long time build-out advocate. But lately, I've fallen in love with Pipenv, and this is why you might too. If you have questions, we're probably not gonna have a questions at the end, so just shoot right away. First, a quick taste. So just create a project. There's nothing in there. We then do pip install requests because we're going to use requests in this project. And what you see first is that Pipenv installs a virtual environment for me, for you. So you don't have to remember to do a virtual environment and then activate it or whatever. And then it's going to go and fetch all the dependencies and install them, and it's going to make a pip block file. So now we have pip file and pip file lock in our project, and pip file describes your project. So it lists your top level dependencies and what their basically a version limit is. In this case, I don't care which version request is, just give me the latest. And it lists what Python version you're using. And then there's pipfile.log, which lists basically the version pins. So this would be the version section in build-out. And yeah, that's it. Like a former pip maintainer says that Pipenv is the porcelain he always wanted to build around pip, and then everybody should use it. And then this other random guy says that the greatest benefit of Pipenv is that he now knows exactly what the transitive dependencies are, and this is going to be I'm going to return to transitive dependencies a lot in this talk. It was built by Kenneth Reitz, who built requests. Request is a famous HTTP library in Python that also inspired Plone API because its API is so good, and you have the same level of like human-centric design and convenience that you have in requests, you also have in Pipenv. Still, some of you might ask, why would I care? Build-out is perfect for Plone projects, and for anything smaller, I just use pip, and it works fine for me. Well, the most obvious reason for me, like the first obvious reason was you don't have to use pip and virtualenv separately, or virtualenv wrapper or whatever you use. They work really well together because I'm just, super. I just always forget to do source bin activate, or one of our team members forget it, and then they globally install some package and then just breaks the entire development machine. And then there's resilience. Because in pip, managing requirements is hard, and you get burned because your primary and your secondary dependencies, or your direct or your transitive dependencies, are all in the same file, requirements txt, and that makes you like it. Let me just show you what I mean. So we're gonna use pip to basically create a project. I have to remember to do a virtual environment first, and then activate it. It's source bin active. And then I'm going to install Celery 2.5 because it's an old project and I need Celery 2.5. Peep's going to go there and is going to install it. And now a year has passed and I want to upgrade to Celery 4.0. You know, because so wait, do I have everything? Yeah. So Celery 4.0. It goes in, installs whatever Celery 4.0 needs, and then let's see what our dependencies are. Okay, and I'm gonna copy them for later use. Okay, so okay, there's just Celery and a couple of dependencies of Celery. Let's do the same thing with Pipenv. So I need to create a new folder first. Come on. Again, Celery 2.5. Again, I didn't have to remember to install and activate virtual environment, which is always nice. I'm a forgetful person. And I like the computer to take care of things that can be automated away. We have Celery 2.5. Now let's do 4.0. It's the same simulation, an old project, upgraded. It's going to go and install everything, update the log file. And let's see what our dependencies look now. So there's a dash requirements flag that you can use to use the same format for as pip uses for convenience. Okay, copy this one over too. And this is the result. What happened? Anyone wants to take a guess what happened?
Yeah, the Nejc and Python data tools are no longer dependencies of Celery.
Exactly.
It doesn't uninstall shit.
Yeah, so with pip on the left, when you install Celery 2.5, so any JSON and Python data tool get into your requirements txt file. And then when you upgrade your Celery 4.0, pip cannot know that you actually don't need those because it's in your requirements file, requirements txt. But pipenv, your only dependency is Celery. So anything that Celery depends on, it can be removed if Celery no longer depends on it. And obviously, less code means faster builds, faster tests, less bugs, so less thing to annoy you. So yeah, this was fantastic. It has hashes everywhere. So like this is a pip file lock. So you want to make sure that anything that you install, and then when you install it a month from now or on a different machine, that you get the same thing, because CDNs get hacked all the time. You have fake packages on PyPI, also on Node and other package package repositories. And yeah, this is actually a feature that the pip has. So pip also knows how to do that, but you have to manually know how to use it and remember to use it. And pipenv kind of forces you to do that. And then there's automatic vulnerability discovery, which I like a lot. Again, now we're going to install, we're going to do a Django project. And we're going to use a specific version of Django, 1.10.1. Because it's an old project. So Django takes a bit more time to install than requests. It's still fairly fast enough. The locking takes a bit more time because pipenv needs to do so much more version, like tree resolutions for more packages. And then we can do pipenv check, and basically it will tell us that the Django that we're using is outdated and we should upgrade. And you can run this on a daily basis on your CI, and you will see when you need to upgrade. And then there's always up to date, which is kind of a love and hate relationship. I have a love and hate relationship with it. I want to show you. Here I have an outdated pyramid project, and these are the dependencies that we have. And it uses pyramid 191, and I want to upgrade to 192, so it's a minor upgrade of pyramid. So you just do pipenv install pyramid 192 with a double, yeah, equal sign. Again, it's gonna go in. It's gonna install pyramid 192, lock all the dependencies, update the log file, and let's see what our requirements look like. Our dependencies. Copy them over. This is what happened. So we upgraded pyramid to 192, but all the other dependencies also get upgraded because we only so our pip file only says our only dependency is pyramid, and basically it's asterisk or whatever version, and anything else is not in our pip file. So anytime you run pip install, pip lock, pip update, whatever, Pipenv is going to go in and upgrade all the dependencies of your dependencies, or basically all dependencies, up to the latest limit that you specify. So for example, for Hopper, if you would say that you want to have a version that is less than 1.2, it's going to upgrade to 1.19 if that exists. If you have a star, it's just going to upgrade everything. And like the first time this happens to you, you're like, what the? Like, oh, you're breaking my environment because you haven't upgraded for a while, and then things change. And it's always in the most inconvenient time when you want to do a release. But after half a year of doing this, I must say I'm super happy that Pipenv does that, because before I was basically the only one that really cared about staying up to date, and I was always trying to push other people to upgrade, and nobody did, and then I didn't do it for a month, or God forbid 3, and then we were so far behind that the upgrade to the latest packages was like a week or a 2-week effort, and like, good luck convincing your users and your owners to take 2 weeks to upgrade packages, and then you cannot use this latest feature that you really need, or even worse, you cannot upgrade. You cannot do a security upgrade. But with this, everybody is forced to upgrade every time they touch the environment, and we actually do upgrade every week or maybe even every few days. And since we've been using Pipenv, most of our projects really are up to date with the latest stable releases, and it's been great. There have been hiccups on the way, but in general, I like this feature. There's also keep outdated, so you can run pip install -- keep outdated, and that will not update everything. So if you're in a hurry or you just really don't want to mess with the environment at the moment. There's a couple of really cool things that I need to skip because of time. I'm going to mention system and deploy. System is going to use your system installed Python and not a virtual environment. For example, if you deploy on cloud providers where you already have a Python provider, or if you use like NumPy and scientific things into your system provided Python. And -- deploy will exit with a non-zero code if your pip file lock is out, if your pip file and pip file lock do not match or are out of date, which prevents one of your developers or you to add a dependency into pip file, but then forget to relock the log file. And you can catch this in your CI or in your deployment. There's graph that I'm gonna just keep. Graph basically just gives you a graph of your dependencies. Super nice for debugging issues. There are drawbacks. You only have dev and production mode. So with build out, we used to have the base install, and then you have development install with development packages. Then we have tests install requirements that we use for Travis, and then we have production for production, and we will possibly have more for staging. And Pipenv only supports dev and production, and that's it. Which in a way is actually good because before with build-out, I was still using, this test requires and develop requires and production requires, and nobody in our team understood it. Nobody, like every 3 months, I would have to explain where a certain package has to go and why, and now they actually do understand. And then there's no offline mode, which I miss a lot when I'm on airplanes and conferences with bad Wi-Fi. With build-out, just bin build-out -o, and it runs. Pipenv does not do that because it relies on pip, and pip does not do that. It's not very fast. It's certainly slower than pip, but it does a lot of things, so I would still say it's fast enough. If I would have a magic wand, I would make it 50% faster, but I'm not sure that's doable in the foreseeable future. And we started using it early this year. It hasn't been super stable, but it basically has stabilized in the recent months. So it's definitely not where build-out is after 10, 15 years, but it's stable enough. We have 6 or 7 projects running on Pipenv, and only one Plone project that remains on build-out, and we're just not using pip anymore at all. So recap, you have truly deterministic builds because of the log file. You know that once that log file is in your Git, wherever you build it, if it's not going to match, you're going to have an error, and you're going to know that something changed. You have verified hashes for security, checks for security updates. It forces your team to be up to date, which you have to learn to live with, and has this requests level of convenience. And the API is really good. That's it. I want to mention that all the photos in this presentation were taken in the last 6 to 9 months. We're truly a remote team because I move away every year for 6 months, and if one of the founders moves away, the company has to be remote. So we're not just saying we're remote; we really are remote. And if you're looking for a remote job, we're looking for Pyramid and Python people. Thank you. Yeah, sorry I had to speed things up because of the time, but I hope you got the gist. Yeah, David.
So it sounds really cool. What if I'm building a library and you can support multiple versions of Python or multiple versions of Plone or something like that? Is it still useful?
Yeah, so the question was what happens when you're building a library and you need to support multiple versions. So pipenv would, in that case, would be used for the development environment for that library, but you would still use setup.py to say you require this version for that and this version for that.
Yeah, but if I want to run the tests in several.
You use stocks. You can use. Yeah, so requests uses pipenv for that, so you can look at how they do it. But primarily pipenv is meant for application development, not for library development. You can still use it for library development, and people do. For example, requests are now using pipenv, so you can look for that as an example. But yeah.
Did you check out Nejc?
Did I check out Nejc? No. What is Nejc? Yes, I've been harassed by a lot of people with Nejc for the last 5 to 6 years. It's still on my to-do list. The reason why I want to go with pipenv is because it's the recommended Python way these days to install packages, and I want our development practices to be as close to whatever the agreed standards in the Python community are. So it's basically it's easier to hire, it's easier to share knowledge, and Nejc is a beast in its own way. But I'm definitely still very high on my to-do list. I'm gonna do it someday.
Is it support requirement.txt file?
Does it support requirements.txt file? You can import from requirements.txt file, but then you have to use pip file, which is the new format that pip is gonna use at some point, maybe.
Poetry? Have you tried?
Have we tried poetry? The design of poetry looks really good, and the version resolver in poetry is much better, at least in theory. Pipenv is now rewriting their entire version resolver to do what poetry does. But we actually couldn't get it to work for us. Like on a small project, yes, but then for basically our biggest project, the guy who is the main like technical leader there said, I really don't like Pipenv because it's breaking on me here and there and like bad experience. I really want to try poetry, and it was like an extended effort, and in the end he was like, well, this is even less stable than Pipenv. So maybe this is just our experience, and it's only one guy that's developing it, so it's kind of, I wasn't sure I want to go down that route. With Pipenv has 20 contributors, and it's supported by, backed by the Python Software Foundations or the packaging authority or whatever, the community. So Pipenv is definitely learning from poetry, which is good. Any more questions?